It's really painful when you start to really hit inside.
Life gon' make it happen anyway. And I say don't change, don't change, don't change. Even though life ain't the same. And they say don't change.
And it's not like you're like a cement brick like some of the people I work on, but you can feel, I mean you're pliable, right? But you can feel, because you're pliable, I can feel exactly what needs to be hit and released. That's that guy. Movements first, so you actually see how restricted you were when you before you started, and then when we released it. That's very nice to feel. Again, mid back takes the brunt in all of your squats, your deadlifts, your lunges, anything in an upright posture. It just gets tight, it gets stiff, it gets stuck. And most people don't stretch it or know how to stretch it. Oh yeah, and especially, so you want to break that down, but then all the excessive rows tightens, you know, it pulls all your erector muscles like this closer to the spine because you're doing that row. So we want to kind of move the muscles back away from the spine and all the transverse process, and then they can get into the elevator. That's just, But that's gonna go right all the way down. That's that one right there, man. That one you need to hit like with the cross balls. Just kind of lying on it and that little crunch, pushing back. All right, so I want you to flip onto your side, whichever side you want first. Pull your knees to your chest, arms out in front of you. Okay, you ever do these open books? All right, so relax the head. So you actually, you're trying to keep these here, right? All right, so a lot of people when they do it, they don't even think, they open to get themselves to the ground, they allow their hips to shift. So I can see that you're keeping it there. So what I want you to do, add the little piece. I'm gonna pin.
That's fucking tight.
So we're gonna lock the hip. I want you to slide the hand forward. So you're gonna open up this. Now from there, you're gonna go into your whole open book. Let your eyes follow that hand. Let your head rotate with it. Good. So that's your true range of motion. And that's the T-spine, that's locked up. So that's not giving you movement. So do a couple more like that. So close palm to palm, right? There you go. And then slide it open for that protraction, open it up. All right, passive piriformis. So just relaxing. Good. So a test. So a good hip test is basically how tight, if I can get that foot to the ground. It's not too bad. The left one feels a little tighter. So just a nice, easy passive piriformis. I like to, again, if I hit the trifecta, I've got maybe a band on this, pulling my foot this way. I've got a band on my hip, pulling me that way. And then as I want to add, I can work into the piriformis for the trigger point too. It's interesting because some people feel inside, like, oh my God, I'm so tight.
Right.
Like this doesn't feel, you feel it, but
like
for
that.
me, it doesn't feel bad. Like I feel like we could go way the hell up to your shoulder.
I'm like a tight, flexible person.
Well, that tells me it's not necessarily the flexibility. It's the mobility. So it's the trigger points and the tissue work that you have to hit more of. Because the flexibility is there, but the restriction is lying in the tissues. Because I see you did the pigeon stretch. And that's not a killer, but we'll see where this guy is. So that one's a little tighter. And then so there's one usually with the hip flexors. I'll show you how you can do it yourself, and then how I can do it, but the TFL.
I'm in pain.
So TFL is your tensor fascia latae, however you say that. Hooks to the IT band. So the TFL is the piece that's up here that your IT band attaches to. Everybody has an IT band pain. That in turn with the hip flexors and the piriformis a lot of the times. But most people never target the TFL or realize how tight it actually is, or they think it's the hip flexor. That one's an interesting pain. Feel a difference, bro, between hips?
Yeah.
Dude, this one's so much looser. That's like where your movement should be.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel nearly as bad. You'd be shocked. Some people, literally, that's what I have.
Really?
Like it just, I'm sure some of your people, if you tested them,
Yeah.
boom, like that
Yeah.
hip is just so tight, you won't have any internal rotation.
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna have you lie, because this one is the worst one. Lie on that side again. So, a lot of people when they're hitting the piriformis, it's face down, digging my elbow into it. On the side, it's gonna give you a lot more ability to access the piriformis and the TFL. So, in this position, I'm gonna have him do two different movements. I'm gonna pin. He's starting again, shortened motion. I want you to grab the bottom leg, hold that one down. This foot, you're actively gonna do a glute kick. See how you feel, there you go. So you're just gonna go straight back with that when I tell you to. So we're gonna pin, and you're gonna kick back. Go ahead and straighten it out. Good, pull back in. And I just do this, searching into the glutes, good, and the piriformis, passive active. So it's feeling average, it's not too bad. It would be what somebody would feel like who's actively working out and who uses a foam roller on average. Tight, but not really excessive. So close that. Second one, more of a clamshell. So you're gonna open like this, keeping the feet together. And I'm just gonna go into this hip abduction. So this is gonna kind of get more of that TFL. Go ahead and open. Good, and close. So this is the more painful one, which is, like I said, assessing. He feels the restriction from the hip flexor, the psoas, and the TFL. Piriformis isn't too bad, but the TFL is the mother.
Yeah.
All right, so sit up. So to hit that one yourself, which is really, really helpful, go into that modified pigeon. I can feel this point myself. I can feel where that, right there, you'll find it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into this hip thrust first, pin that, and then I'm gonna sit back on it, right? So I'm going into a tight position, and then I'm pinning it, and I'm coming back and forcing it to stretch. So sit forward, just almost like you're doing a little hip thrust forward. Don't pin it yet. Come forward with it. Pin the point. As you find it, and you'll feel it, and then sit back on it. Yep. And it's usually, I mean, it's right by the hip. Most people are gonna find that it's like this little bump of a muscle, which is meaning that it's tight. That's just an active approach. You can literally just sit there and work into it with your thumb and just kind of shift the hips back and forth.
Oh, right there.
Yep.
Ah.
And again, I always like to test and retest one side to the other side. Really gives you an idea of which is the painful side. Because there's so much shit that people have that they don't realize is going on.
So where can people find you?
So I've got my Facebook. You can just search Chris Kalisz. It's Kalisz, as in zebra. I got mobilityproject.fit. That's in the renovation stage right now. And I'm going to be on Vimeo, which is just follow me through my Facebook, Chris Kalisz. Mobility Project.
Perfect. There we go. Yeah, I feel a lot better.
That's the stuff
That's
like,
crazy.
It's an immediate feel. What up? Yeah, you know.
Life gon' make it happen anyway. And I say don't change.